Thanks for staying with 5 Live. We're taking the spotlight straight to Chennai now, where the political churn is getting out of hand completely, and there could be an arrest very soon of the de facto chief of the AIA-DMK, TTV Dinakran, the very controversial leader and nephew of VK Sasikala, could be arrested at any point of time. That's the big developing breaking story that we're getting to right now on 5 Live. The Delhi Police Assistant Commissioner of Police and an inspector are on their way to Chennai right now from Delhi. They're on an Indigo flight 613. They'll be landing at about 7:15 p.m. The 2 police officers from the Delhi Crime Branch will be landing in Chennai, and what will follow could lead to the arrest of TTV Dinakran. They will be interrogating TTV Dinakran, and then, who knows, perhaps an arrest will take place. A lookout notice was put out by the Delhi police earlier yesterday for Dinakran, and now the heat is very much on for TTV Dinakran, who faces possible arrest by... Well, this political turmoil is intensifying with each passing minute in Tamil Nadu amidst the buzz of a merger between Amma's warring factions, EPS and OPS. Now, Camp EPS and OPS have set fresh conditions for a merger. People who didn't have as much as a spine when Jayalalitha was alive suddenly have these inflated egos and hunger for power. Meanwhile, TTV Dinakran's symbol gate ghost has now come to haunt him, like I just said, in Chennai, as the Delhi police team will be landing in just a couple of hours. Here's a roundup of the big developments in Chennai.
After a vicious 2-month war, are Amma's boys finally coming around? Less than 48 hours after waving the white flag, the Camp Sasikala and Camp O Paneerselvam reunion seems to have hit a big roadblock, with OPS unwilling to back down and Camp EPS set on retaining the CM's post. Their conditions are clear.
Principally, Paneerselvam says remove Sasikala and Dinakran from the AIA-DMK. Palanisamy, the current chief minister, says retain me as the chief minister. So big demands there. OPS camp, on the other hand, says remove Sasikala and Dinakran from all governance roles within the AIA-DMK. OPS to be AIA-DMK General Secretary. So that's a demand that he be the General Secretary. Detailed probe into Jayalalitha's death. Very, very emotive issue. They're completely adamant that there needs to be a full investigation. EPS says current portfolios to be retained by the EPS camp. So they're very, very possessive about the power portfolios. Paneerselvam to be the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister. No going back, no negotiating on that aspect. OPS camp gets additional portfolios held by EPS. That's what their offer is.
Meanwhile, the man at the center of the storm, freshly ousted Deputy General Secretary TTV Dinakran, downplays any indication of leaving the party.
Yesterday night, when they announced like that, at the time itself, I am keeping me away from the process, the government process. But I am a party cadre. Even I am a party sympathizer. And when many MLAs had contacted me, I told them to come to the party office. They are merging. Our leaders wanted me to be keep quiet, so I want to be keep quiet.
But OPS is resolute in his opposition to the Mannargudi camp.
இரு தரப்பும் நாங்கள் பேசி தொண்டர்கள் விருப்பம் எதுவோ மக்களுடைய விருப்பம் எதுவோ அதுவை நடைமுறைப்படுத்துவதற்கு இருதரப்பும் உட்கார்ந்து பேசி முடிவெடுப்போம் என்பதை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன்.
As leaders scramble between the two camps,
I will definitely support the party and government lead to Mr. TTV Dinakran. I will support.
And opposition demands fresh polls in the state.
ஊரையே கொள்ளையடித்து இருக்கக்கூடியவர்கள் அன்றைக்கு ஒன்றாக இருந்தவர்கள் இன்றைக்கு இரண்டாக பிரிந்து இந்த நாட்டை குட்டிச்சுவராக்கி கொண்டிருக்கிறார்கள்.
What's clear is the turmoil in Tamil Nadu politics is far from over. The fight for Amma's legacy and the race to be the flag bearer of her politics has stumbled the state into political uncertainty. Will Tamil Nadu leaders bury the hatchet and finally concentrate on governance now? Bureau Report, India Today.
I want to go straight across to India. Today's frontline reporters on the ground getting us minute-to-minute updates on this political potboiler of a story in Tamil Nadu. Akshita Nandagopal joining us live from outside TTV Dinakran's house and Pramod Madhav from right outside E. Palanisami's house in the state capital of Tamil Nadu. Akshita, you've got a Delhi crime branch team that's headed as we speak to the city you're standing in right now. The man in the house behind you is their target. We can expect that he will be interrogated, but what are you hearing? Is his arrest imminent, Akshita?
Well, it looks like it could be another night of drama here, Shiv. The sun is going to be setting any moment now, and even as the sun sets, as you pointed out, yes, the crime branch will be landing here in Chennai at about 7:15 this evening. It's been a rather long day for Dinakran, hasn't it? You've seen the political turmoil, the political developments that have happened, him being ousted literally in the dead of night, at midnight. Soon after that, he's had to turn up at the Egmore court today, and now this happening as well. Behind, you can see, of course, his residence is there. You see a lot of action taking place. There's some supporters coming together also to scream slogans in favor of TTV Dinakran. But it looks like it's endgame for him, Shiv. And just like what's happened with his aunt Sashikala, it's possibly the legal cases that have proved to be most detrimental, really, to his political career.
Yeah, well, it's just started, really, and it's already appearing to end with the Delhi crime branch possibly, preparing to interrogate and then arrest him. Pramod, what about that peace deal? These politicians have built this huge mountain of expectation as far as the reunion of the AIA-DMK, setting aside all their egos. But it appears that nothing on the table. EPS and OPS are squabbling like chickens. They can't seem to agree on anything as far as their demands are concerned.
Well, that is true, Shiv, because earlier we had only Camp EPS and Camp OPS, and we had one leader, that is OPS, and there, even though the camp's named as EPS, TTV was the one. Right now, TTV is removed, so there are more than one leader over there, and as you can see, I'm in front of OPS's house here. It is very calm, but AIDMK leaders seem to have a very bad habit of being quiet all day, and then they start the action only after 10 p.m, and so, we cannot relent anything out. But we've got the word that the deal's being broken out, and, that they are trying to merge, but there's a major deal over here. I'm bringing out only the allegation stating that EPS wants to keep this chief minister post, and he's ready to give the general secretary post and the plumpy finance minister post to OPS, but apparently Camp OPS is not okay with it. They want to become the chief minister. They already had this one line calling at the party leadership and the government leadership should be with one person. They are still sticking to it. That is a development for now, but I'm very sure by 10 p.m. today, again, there's something or else that will definitely happen, Shiv.
This is, this is a terrific power tussle that, Pramod, you're talking about. Akshita, the Manargudi family, their abrupt entry into the AIA-DMK's sanctum sanctorum is probably going to be as shocking as their exit now. All these powerful men of the AIA-DMK now talking about, the AIA-DMK without Dinakran, Sasikala and co. It's not going to be that easy, is it? This is a very, very powerful family. They have a formidable reputation for power, for brutality perhaps even. So it's not going to be as easy as it sounds.
Absolutely, Shiv. In a matter of hours, we saw these developments take place, but it's not going to be an abrupt exit. An abrupt entry is easy, the exit not so much. At this point, TTV Dinakran, when we spoke to him last, he almost seemed resigned to his fate. He was all, very clearly putting the onus on the party card, saying that I will do whatever it takes for the well-being of the party. Yeah. But I think that's just an exterior that he's putting out to show that, he is a mass leader, a leader of the people and the likes. But I think he definitely has a trick up his sleeve. It's not going to be as simple as him and his aunt stepping aside and letting, these ministers, EPS, OPS, all of them take the charge. This family has fought hard to be where they are today on these political lines. We've seen what Sashikala Natarajan had to go through over the last few months. She stood rock solid just so that she could get to the top of the party. So I don't think it's going to be as simple as, these ministers expressing their desire for the family to step out, and TTV Dinakran will just step aside and say that, look, go ahead, take charge.
Pramod and Akshita, for both your sakes, I hope it's not another late night drama in Chennai there. I hope all of the people you guys are covering don't decide that at 11:30 p.m. they're going to hold a press conference, because you know what that means for the both of you and our other reporters in Chennai. But thanks for the moment for joining me on 5 Live with that big political update. Okay, straight on to another big story that's affecting people all across India and Indians working in the United States. Yet another big blow for Indian software professionals and techies, with US President Donald Trump finally coming true on his promise of Buy American, Hire American. On Tuesday night, President Trump signed an executive order considerably tightening rules for the issuance of H-1B work visas that Indians travel on for work to the United States in the tech space. Well, the new rules will make it much more difficult for US companies to outsource work to Indian companies by hiring temporary techies from India. The stock prices of many software companies of India have crashed as a result of today's decision.
Donald Trump, the president, signing on the Buy American, Hire American executive order. At the same time, Donald Trump, the consummate showman, playing to the gallery in a tool and die plant in the heart of America, sealing the fate of thousands of Indian techies with a single stroke of his pen.
These visas will not be issued to low-level techies, but only to highly skilled and those who are highly paid. This also means that American companies who are utilizing this visa service will now be subject to search and seizure in order to avoid fraud and abuse.
Right now, widespread abuse in our immigration system is allowing American workers of all backgrounds to be replaced by workers brought in from other countries to fill the same job for sometimes less pay. This will stop. American workers have long called for reforms to end these visa abuses, and for all cannot continue.
The new order is a big blow to the $150 billion Indian outsourcing industry, which contributes nearly 9.5% to the GDP and transports about 60,000 Indian techies to US every year. However, adapting to the new rules, Indian companies are looking at hiring more American workers and invest in nearshore centers.
We have always also maintained that measures to protect American workers will not be successful if they are applied selectively in such a manner that only a small number of companies get impacted. And these companies are typically the Indian companies, which account for only 20% of the visas.
Not surprisingly, the response among techies is mixed. While there is a lot of apprehension amongst the beginners, the more qualified are gung-ho over the prospect of higher salaries and better jobs.
Remuneration point of view, it will be double. Okay. So from an individual point of view, I'll get a very good remuneration if I'm selected.
Since we are working in a product-based company, right, and we are very good in our own field, and we are highly skilled in that domain. So for us, it did not have any problem.
US is not the only country to clamp down on the biggest Indian export. United Kingdom has already jacked up fees for tech visas. Singapore and Australia have also tightened rules, squeezing the flow of Indian techies to a mere trickle. Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, while the precise specifics of this reform is still to be enunciated by the Trump administration, India is also preparing already for the blowback and what our response needs to be. Joining us live on 5 Live this evening, we have President R. Chandrasekhar of the National Association for Services and Software Companies, or Nasscom, in India, that governs the entire tech space and software and services companies in the country. Sir, your first reaction to the new Hire American, Buy American executive order. While the immediate impact could be minimal, how will the industry be hit in the long term, in your view?
I think these measures have been in the air for some time now. And if we look at the content of the executive order, what the immediate impact that it has is in terms of greater scrutiny of visa applications, deeper verification and check of the applications. and also greater oversight of the actual usage by the companies which have used the H-1B visas.
Yes.
The other aspect of the executive order is something which has no immediate impact, but which has a longer term impact, which is the directive to various departments to review the current processes and make recommendations on the changes needed to ensure that the only high-skilled workers come in through this program, whether it is in terms of better definition of the skills or in terms of higher wages, etc.
But but sir, there are some grievances and there is some anxiety over what is being expected to be something of an inspector Raj in the US, because there is a search and seize clause of US employers violating these visa norms. So is that something to be worried about?
Well, I think we'll have to actually look at how this plays out, because as I have been saying, Indian companies have been and are and will remain fully compliant with US laws.
Obviously, yes.
All the previous investigations have in fact shown that the companies are fully compliant with US laws.
Right.
And what the orders do indicate is that in the event of default, perhaps the punitive measures could be stronger, or the empowerment of the enforcement agencies would be stronger. But for companies that are fully compliant with US laws, that by itself is not a concern. However, I think it's important to mention also that this scrutiny should not become so frequent or so invasive.
That's what the fear
is.
Or
focus on trivia and then initiate action for that. But more in keeping with the spirit of ensuring compliance with the law. And as long as that does not seriously hamper the ease of doing business, that by itself is not a major cause for concern.
And Mr. Chandrasekhar, one final question. What steps in your view is the industry already taking or should be taking to minimize revenue impact?
Well, if you look at the revenue impact per se, I do not believe that any of these provisions have any direct or significant revenue impact. Of greater consequence than the directions per se is, on one hand, many other changes and dimensions which are taking place in terms of technology changes and shifts in the business models and the nature of contracting and the extent of injection of innovation as a part of the whole offering. All of those are major changes. But as far as these particular changes are concerned, they don't affect the business directly. Some of the other changes on, for example, the exchange rate, on some of the client companies relooking at certain contracts, these kind of issues do have a bearing on the business, but not specifically the kind of changes which are currently brought in through the EO.
All right, R. Chandrasekhar of Nasscom, thank you very much for joining us here on 5 Live and throwing light on precisely the kinds of questions that techies, software engineers in India or those working in the United States have in what is a very dynamic sort of situation. There's not enough information out there. I also want to get here on 5 Live a perspective from the United States. I'm joined by Puneet Ahluwalia, live from Washington, D.C. He's a well-known Republican leader of Indian origin. Puneet, good evening. Thanks for speaking to us on India Today. Are you looking at any study, report, document, literature, Puneet, that gives you a sense of what the effect of this executive order is really going to be on the Indian workforce?
I think the opportunity is there. Now it's important for the US-based Indian companies to take the advantage and be part of President Trump's economic agenda. The focus is to create mainstream jobs by hiring veterans, college graduates, and tell that story both in rural and urban United States so that people know what the good work is done by these Indian companies. Indian American companies. And most importantly, I will also request the IT professionals or the large growing Indian population to advise the mainstream American public the good work that's being done by these brilliant folks who come from India make our nation a greater place. One more area which I would say is all the donations and the contributions made to university. I would say if that can start to go into programs which help rural economies and rural projects would be another good point for our Indian IT companies and successful entrepreneurs to do. I think this conversation is a long conversation. We can change the narrative and bring both countries closer to each other.
Okay, so you're saying that there are threats, but this is also an opportunity for the Indian workforce to get even more into the mainstream of American work culture. We're going to keep a track of that story. There are many questions. We've been flooded by comments and questions on this story. It's of great interest to India and India's economy and also our software workforce. We'll keep a track of that story and continue to get you coverage on the visa reforms by President Trump. All right, moving on to our final story on 5 Live this evening. Less than 10 days to go for Bahubali, the conclusion, to hit the screens. And here's a treat for you. We bring you an insight into what went on to create villain Rana Daggubati's epic look. We've got better access than anybody else. Take a look.
Actor Rana Daggubati's new beefed up look as the feisty, intense Bhallal Dev in the new poster of Bahubali 2. The conclusion is out and we're loving it. The chiseled abs, rock hard muscles, ripped body and the villainous attitude to go with it. The actor is giving his fans some serious fitness goals. Though Rana's one of the few actors whose physique has been talked about as much as his acting prowess, but by the looks of it, the actor has left no stone unturned. The 32-year-old actor has reportedly been training round the clock to look more menacing than ever before in the sequel, where he will be seen playing a younger avatar.
There was a lot of fun moments that we had. We never went into a real face-off because one of us would have been dead by now if we really went into that space. But no, it was tiring. But it was so much fun. And it's worth every moment that we gave that. I mean, just for that one shot. It's really hard when you say it and stuff. It's not so complicated.
Oh my God!
It's really basic bodybuilding techniques. Yeah. And when you have the greatest war film that you're part of, I mean, you'll probably do everything that you can and more to look like that and look better if not possible. And so it doesn't come really hard to us. It's part of our job. And we like it very much. We enjoy it.
So much for watching. I'll see you at the same time tomorrow.